Hey, it's Josh Jacobs, and you're listening to the Fantasy Football Counselor.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Joseph Robert, the Fantasy Football Counselor. I got an exciting episode, one of my favorite episodes, must-own running backs for Fantasy Football 2020. Which running backs do you have to have on your roster? I'm going to go over that with you guys in detail. I'm also going to outline the robust RB strategy, because a lot of people ask me about that. Joe, why are you so obsessed with the robust RB strategy? Why is this so important? Why do I got to implement it? I'm going to go over that with you guys in this episode, and of course, give you guys all the running backs you should be targeting. Yes, I'm not holding back. I'm going to talk about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, because I know a lot of people are high on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, understandably so. So I'm going to tell you if he's a must-have. I'm going to tell you guys what to do with Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones. Are they must-haves? Who is a must-have? Everything for Fantasy Football Running Backs 2020. This goes beyond, I'm telling you guys, this goes beyond your typical fantasy football consensus running back rankings. You need to stay away from the consensus if you want to succeed, okay? Before I get into that, you guys know I give you guys a ton of value. Everything I offer you guys, I mean, there's a reason why I do it, because I want you guys to succeed, win, or benefit from it. So a couple of things here are very important. And again, I want you guys to win your leagues. This is not, hey, cookie cutter rankings. These are our rankings from last year. Draft them again in this order. This goes beyond that, guys. So make sure you guys get the 16-round draft solution. It is the game changer. It's going to help you guys crush your leagues, guys, at thefantasyfootballcounts.com. I've also linked it below. Guys, listen, sleepers, breakouts, all the optimal players in each round. So you guys have that optimal roster. No more question marks. Now, I know I've been in casual leagues before. A lot of my casual league mates would get confused after round 6. Who do they draft? After the big names are gone, what do they do? And what they end up doing is they end up drafting players that are kind of just names, right? Oh, I recognize the name Frank Gore. I'm going to get him in this round. I recognize that name. I'm going to get him in this round. They don't look at upside. They don't look at value. They don't look at depth chart. They don't look at, where they are in the depth chart, right? They don't look at the whole picture. And that's what I do when I put any player in 16 rounds. So get it at thefantasyfootballcounts.com. Also, very important, I've teamed up with Manscaped. And again, I don't really promote products that I wouldn't particularly use, but Manscaped is phenomenal, guys. Treat yourself, and you can treat yourself with a 20% discount. So get over to manscaped.com and I like the Lawnmower 3.0. It's a new trimmer that will help you groom your male body parts. It's a phenomenal trimmer. I love it. So guys, make sure you guys head over to manscaped.com. And when you go to checkout, use promo code, of course, Shower Lion, lowercase Lion, Shower Lion, and you will save yourself 20% on your purchase. That's phenomenal. Head on over to manscaped.com and get that 60-round draft solution. All right, so let's talk about these must-have running backs. Who must you have? Who must you own? Who is the running back you must own? And I got to tell you, man, there's a handful of guys that I particularly love this season. Now, one of those guys, obviously, let's talk about the first-round guys that you must own. And it's got to be Saquon Barkley. This is the guy I must own above pretty much everybody else for Fantasy Football 2020. Now, I know a lot of people are debating and saying, well, Joe, Christian McCaffrey, what about him? He had this amazing pinnacle season. How is he going to do this year? Listen, Christian McCaffrey's phenomenal talent. If you look at his numbers in PPR last year, 471.2 PPR fantasy points. This is only like second to anybody else that's ever put up fantasy points. That goes back to, I believe, as I'm going to look this back up, I think it's like 2002. Guys like Priest Holmes had 442 points. I think it was LT back in like 2004. I'm going way back here. LT had a lot of points. I think it was 2003 or 2004. Damian Thompson had 443 points in 2002. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is, it's very hard to replicate those numbers. That's the whole point I'm trying to make here. So again, he has such a pinnacle year that was only been like replicated once or duplicated or even surpassed. So there's no way he's going to finish with 471 points. We know that. We know it's a new offense there. We know it's a different offensive scheme. We know it's going to be, they got wide receivers there, new quarterback. So Christian McCaffrey, here's the deal, right? He's not a guy I'm going to get, because if I go first, I'm going Saquon Barkley. If I go second, I'm getting Saquon Barkley. So he's not a guy I must have, believe it or not. But a guy I must have is, it's got to be Saquon Barkley. And listen, Saquon Barkley is due for a massive season. Why is that, Joe? Why? Well, one, he had a great ending of the season. Phenomenal numbers near the end of the season. I look at that. I look at everything. So when I look at the end of the season, he put up some solid numbers near the end, and that shows me that he is capable. He had 43.9 PPR fantasy points in week 16. This is Saquon Barkley I'm talking about here. 30 points in week 15. This is with a terrible O-line. And understand, guys, he is bigger, more physical. He is strong. He's coming out strong this year. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He didn't play the full season last year, 13 games. I love it. Improved O-line. And he still managed to finish, top 10 last year, even with only playing 13 games. Still managed to rush over 1,000 yards, which I like, 1,003 yards, 4.6 yards per carry, 6 touchdowns. So the ceiling is high on this guy. He had 385 points the year prior. Saquon Barkley, by far the most physically gifted and talented running back in the NFL. He's a must-have. Now, again, Christian McCaffrey, I'm not going to have him personally because I know a decline's imminent. And again, if I'm drafting first or second, I'm not going to get him because I'm going to be going Saquon Barkley. So he's not going to probably end up on my team this year. I'm willing to live with that. That's okay. That's up to me. And it's up to you guys to make a decision. This is my opinion. This is my research. This is what I've done. I'm giving you guys my best opinion. I know through history, what goes up must come down. What goes down must come up. I look at opportunity. I think Saquon, predicated he's completely healthy for the entire season, is the guy that I like with the highest ceiling this season. All right. Another guy I must have. Must have is Josh Jacobs. Now, Josh Jacobs, I understand, guys, he didn't have the greatest year last year. Where did he finished 21st, okay? Understand, he only played 13 games, and after talking to a bunch of Raiders insiders that I know, he played with a bum shoulder after week 7, so he wasn't fully there. He had 242 attempts, still managed to rush over 1,150 yards, 4.8 yards per carry, and 7 touchdowns. Now, we already heard the offensive coordinator, the coaches, they all believe in Josh Jacobs, and they know they're going to feed him this year. They've got Ruggs now that's going to spread out the defenses, have them focus on him a little bit more, instead of the stack boxes with Josh Jacobs. Now, Josh Jacobs has a little bit of company. I'm not sold around the talent around him, so I'm not really concerned about people taking away that volume from him. Now, they just acquired Jeremy Hill. I didn't even know Jeremy Hill was still in the NFL, nor do I care because he's not fantasy relevant. So when you look at Josh Jacobs, you look at a guy that you can get late first round, early second that's going to get a ton of volume. To me, he's a must-have guy. Okay, so I'm definitely going to target him, all right? Derrick Henry, obviously a must-have. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Derrick Henry has a high ceiling. He's got a lot of talent. But for some reason, I'm just not high on him as I was last year. I like to go for those kind of like diamonds in the rough, kind of like what everybody's sleeping on, and I know they're going to break out. Where Derrick Henry, actually, last year, everybody was sleeping on him. They actually thought I was nuts drafting him ahead of Damian Williams last year. I was drafting him late first, early second. Why I was doing that? Because I saw the upside, saw the opportunity, saw the fact that he needs to be incentivized. By the way, going back to Christian McCaffrey, he's got his big payday. So sometimes people have the contract hangover and they're just not as hungry. Now, I can't speak for these guys particularly, but I know from experience and seeing other running backs do it, and again, going back to history, a lot of people have that contract hangover and they decline. Now, Derrick Henry had a nice contract this year. Is it going to be a bit of a hangover? I still think he's chasing legacy. I still think he's chasing status. I still think he's hungry. I watched training videos on this guy. I still think he's a must-have. I like him second or third overall. I would actually consider taking him over Christian McCaffrey. Yes, in PPR, yes. Again, he's got an offense that he believes in. Now, if you get 1,500 rushing yards and 16 touchdowns, that's going to definitely overcome the receptions that he may be lacking. Understand, Christian McCaffrey did have a pinnacle 116 reception year. He's not going to get 116 receptions. There are top 10 wide receivers in the NFL that didn't see 116 receptions. You don't believe me? Well, I'll tell you guys right now. I'm going to filter it by receptions here and take a look. DeAndre Hopkins had 104 receptions last year. Keenan Allen, 104. Julian Edelman, 100 receptions. The only person that surpassed Christian McCaffrey, who's a running back in receptions, was Michael Thomas with 149. So, guys, I'm looking at stats. I crunch numbers. he had a pinnacle year. Okay, so be cautious. Yes, Christian McCaffrey's still going to succeed. Don't get me wrong. I'm personally not drafting. This is my personal choice, just like you guys have a personal choice. It's a free draft. It's up to you guys, okay? It's up to you, okay? So Derrick Henry, another must-have for me. Another must-have for me. Now, a lot of people are sleeping on him. He's currently sitting at 15th on the consensus rankings amongst running backs. I think this is an insult. Now, Todd Gurley didn't have the greatest year last year. That's understandable. He was limited and he was preserved with the Rams. The Rams knew they were going to ship him off potentially, so he didn't have the greatest year. Now, he had played 15 games, 223 attempts, 857 yards, 3.8 yards per carry, but he's a touchdown machine. He's got the biggest nose for the end zone, I'd say, in the NFL. So when I am looking at a guy like Todd Gurley, I look at the situation. I look at a committee where he's competing with, Brian Hill and Ito Smith. I'm not concerned here. Todd Gurley's a guy I must have that I can get mid-second round that could be a top 3 to 5 fantasy football finisher in fantasy points PPR. Why? He's going to get all the goal line work. There's no doubt about it. Why? He's got Matt Ryan. Why? He's the lead back. Why? They've got, Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, arguably the best receiving duo in the NFL, distracting the defenses, right? I don't see any stacked boxes. I see, balls being caught out of the backfield. I see red zone work. I see a guy that has been ridiculed for his arthritis. I see a guy with his chip on his shoulders. That's one thing I look at when I look at must-own running backs, okay? That's one thing that people don't talk about. When I'm looking at these rankings, I'm literally seeing copy and paste. I'm seeing Nick Chubb, top 10 in standard, number 12 in PPR. But these guys, like the Nick Chubb, the Eckler, the Drake, the Mixons, right? Dalvin Cook, another example. These guys are being drafted predicated on last year's stats. They're predicated on that last year situation. It's almost kind of like the mainstream sheep. They take last year's top finishers, they freeze it in time, they freeze it, and then they just bring it over to this year the way that it is encapsulated with a few variances, okay? Now, Clyde Edwards is sitting here at 8th amongst running backs, understandably so. We'll get to him in a second. But what I'm trying to say is you got to think outside the box. You got to think, okay, this doesn't make sense, okay? Dalvin Cook, top 5, okay. He's threatened to hold out, okay. It shows that he showed up to camp, which is great. But, why would I go Dalvin Cook when he hasn't finished a season? He has not been to a fantasy football playoff, period. He just has not been to a fantasy football playoff. He's not helped anybody in the fantasy football playoffs. Why would I, in a championship particularly, why would I put a guy like that on my roster? I wouldn't. I just wouldn't do it. I don't see this guy finishing in a season at all. So when you're saying, well, Joe, where's Joe Mixon? Where's Dalvin Cook? Where's this guy? Where's that guy? Why don't you believe in Kenyon Drake? Well, because years to wow, I'm not wowed, or there's particular reasons, whether it be injury or whatever that is. Now you say, well, Joe, how do you like Todd Gurley? Well, Todd Gurley has had his lumps. He's had his downfall. He's had his down year. And if you look at his career, it's been like a roller coaster ride. This is a year where he's due for an incline. So what you got to look at is the situation. What goes up must come down. Scenario, depth chart, talent, opportunity, situation, hunger. It's not just like I'm taking this frozen, piece of time here, this capsule, and carrying it over. And that's the broken mentality of the mainstream consensus, okay? So another must-have is Todd Gurley. So we talked about Saquon, love him. Derrick Henry, must-have. Zeke Elliott, again, he's a must-have. I got to mention him because he's consistent. He's strong. And what I like about Zeke is that he always gets the attempts. Now, they have a new coach there. Is that going to be an issue? Possibly. But again, 301 attempts last year. Even if it goes down, I'm still looking at a floor of 275 attempts. And that's really being on the conservative side there. Zeke's going to get the work, right? He's a focal point of that offense. I mean, Pollard's going to probably come in. They've got some receiving targets. But again, you got to put Zeke as a must-have, okay? So we talked about Saquon. We talked about Jacobs. We talked about Zeke. We talked about Henry. We talked about Gurley. These are all must-haves. Let's keep going here. Now, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, let's talk about him. Is he a must-have? And the simple answer to this one is no. He's not a must-have for me particularly. Now, to a lot of people, They want Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They love the ceiling. They're looking at Kareem Hunt in 2017, thinking it's going to be a Kareem Hunt situation. Understand, guys, it's a different situation from 2017 where Kareem Hunt was the rushing leader, okay? It's a totally different situation. Now, I do love the fact that Damian Williams is not there. Love it. Love the idea. Now, Damian Williams sucked, right? The fact that Damian Williams was there was kind of like, it sucks that he's there. He's going to be a pest, but he sucks. So, like, Clyde Edwards-Helaire could surpass him. What if they bring in a guy like Devontae Freeman? Now, I don't think they will, but there's a chance they could. I don't trust the Chiefs based on what I saw last year. I'll give you an example. Now, Darwin Thompson, as you guys know, didn't do too well, was a bench stash for me. He was literally my RB6 on my rosters before. Let me say this. He was before LaShawn McCoy was acquired on that team. So I was sitting there going, okay, this looks really good for Darwin Thompson, a guy they brought in, super strong guy, young, hungry, and there was no LaShawn McCoy. Then they bring in the buzzkill LaShawn McCoy, and I was pissed. I mean, I was beyond pissed about that. So again, even as a bench stash, I'm obsessed with, and I had drafted early that year, even as a bench stash, I was upset that some guy came in and buzzkilled it. So if you guys are investing, there's a point to this story, guys. If you guys are investing a first-round pick, which is where he is going, be prepared. And I'm telling you, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but just be prepared that there could be a buzzkill. Again, I do not trust the Kansas City Chiefs. Period. Zilch. I just don't do it. I don't trust them. So be cautious. He's a must-have for me. No. If you do want to draft him, I've talked about this, make sure you draft Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Guys, listen carefully. Draft them as part of a robust RB strategy. That's how you should be drafting, okay? I want to take a quick timeout and make sure, guys, just to plug it again, 16-round draft solution, get it below. I teach you guys the robust RB strategy. So I got to take a timeout for that. Head on over to thefantasyfootballcounselor.com. This is the game changer, okay? I talk about that. So when I'm looking at Clyde Edwards-Helaire, if I have him comboed with a Gurley, David Johnson, and a Montgomery, fine. I'm cool. But if or even like a Edwards, Jacobs, Gurley, Montgomery, or Leonard Fournette, it doesn't matter. But as long as he's comboed with three other running backs, I'm okay. I feel warm and fuzzy. But as a running back one, and then you go, let's say wide receiver, and then you end up with a running back like Melvin Gordon or Phillip Lindsay or Jordan Howard or someone like that, then I'm just like, ooh, I don't like that, okay? So be cautious with him. Be cautious with Drake. Drake has got the ceiling that can go through a roof. But understand, guys, his numbers were inflated. I believe it was week 15. Now I can pull it up. I think it was week 15 versus the Browns. He had 4 touchdowns in that game, which completely inflated his numbers. So I'm looking at that right now. Week 15, 137 yards, 22 attempts. Now he had really good attempts week 22 and week 15 and 16. He had 22 attempts in week 15, 24 attempts in week 16. So those 2 games were the only 2 games he had over 20 rushing attempts. Is that going to continue? Possibly. They did bring in a guy like a young talent, Eno Benjamin, who's a violent runner and has a nose for the end zone that's out of Arizona State. Do I absolutely trust the Arizona Cardinals? No, I don't. So he's not a must-have for me, but I definitely see the ceiling. All right, let's continue on with some more must-haves. We talked about the guys I like so far, Jacobs, the Gurleys, the Saquons, the Zekes, the Henrys. Now, you can see I'm omitting Dalvin Cook. I'm omitting Nick Chubb because Nick Chubb's sharing a backfield with a guy who's better than him in Kareem Hunt all around, right? Miles Sanders. A lot of people asking about Miles Sanders, and we're going to be doing a top 10 episode, guys, with Tim the Bald Guy this week, an up-to-date top 10 episode. Now, I got to tell you, Miles Sanders, man, I mean, the ceiling is there, but again, similar to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, high ceiling, but very, very hard to trust. He's not a must-have for me, but I definitely like him. Eckler, same thing, high ceiling. But another must-have for me as part of a robust RB strategy is David Johnson. Now, he's currently sitting 21st on the running back ranking. So he's sitting 21st. That is embarrassing. That is shocking. That is ridicule. Now let's talk about his history real quick. Everyone keeps ridiculing him. Let's look back. 2016 had a phenomenal year. He had over 20 all-purpose touchdowns, 16 on the ground, 4 receiving, 407 PPR fantasy points, number 1 running back 2016. Well, Joe, that hasn't happened for a while. Why do I believe you? Listen, David Johnson is elite talent. There's no doubt about it. 2017 had a fluke wrist injury, a defensive back hit him hard, shattered, broke the wrist. Fluke injury put him out of the season. We understand that. It's not that he's injury prone. He caught the ball, was running upfield, turned, smack. wrist was gone. The year after 2018, still managed to finish. Guys, listen, it's not like he was a slouch in 2018. He finished top 9 in PPR. I'm looking at it right now. 258 attempts. So what did he have? 3.6 yards per carry. Not that exciting. 7 touchdowns, but 940 yards. 246 points PPR, which put him 9th that year. So it's not like David Johnson didn't finish top 10 since 2016. He still did. Now, 2019, we can't say anything. It was a coaching thing. It was Kingsbury's a bit of a dick. So I can't control what the coach did. So understand, guys, he's on a team that believes in him. Carlos Hyde, who absolutely sucks, had over 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. David Johnson is hungry. He's angry. I met with him, right? I met him. He was endorsing my brand a couple of years ago, as you guys know, when I had a fantasy frame product and my counselor podcast was getting started. In 2016, he endorsed the brand. I talked to him. He doesn't like haters. So basically, he's hungry. He's going to prove everybody wrong. Texans believe in him. I absolutely love the upside. I can get this guy as late as the round 4. Now, you will miss out on him if you draft. Here's the deal. If you draft 12th, okay, and you go, let's just say you go Clyde Edwards-Helaire and you go Jacobs, or Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Gurley. You come back around, you're probably going to miss out on him at the end of round 3. I'm going to be honest with you. Am I suggesting you draft him second? Probably not. I kind of like Gurley a little bit better. But he's a guy, if you're drafting mid, if you got the 6th pick, right? Mid-3rd round, great value, right? I'd even get him at the beginning of the 3rd round as well. I'd probably combo a Fournette and David Johnson, or a Gurley and a David Johnson there, okay? So trust me when I say he's going to get the volume opportunity and he's got a chip on his shoulder. Absolutely love David Johnson. He's a must-have for me. 3rd round, steal. Another guy I must have here, if I can get him as part of a robust RB strategy, Jonathan Taylor. Love the ceiling, love the upside. This guy definitely surpasses Marlon Mack, who sucks. Marlon Mack is not good. I don't know if you guys understand when I tell you this. He's not that good. There's a reason why they got Jonathan Taylor with the 2nd pick. The reason is because the Colts don't believe in Mack. Now, I did this on my social media. If you're not following my Insta, make sure you guys do. I just talked about this. I said that the Metcalf is not believed by the Seahawks. They don't believe in DK Metcalf. Why? Because they're trying to look for Josh Gordon and Antonio Brown. Now, you're saying, well, Joe, what do you mean they don't believe in Metcalf? They do. Metcalf could be a wide receiver one in his own respect, but they don't believe he's a true workhorse wide receiver. They don't believe it. Why aren't the Falcons looking for Antonio Brown? Well, number one, they probably have more integrity than the Seahawks because they don't want a guy that's gotten as much trouble as he has, right? Why aren't the Lions looking for Antonio Brown? Because they believe in Galladay. He's a true wide receiver one. And when you look at situations where other running backs come in, for example, Seahawks again, Chris Carson, they brought in Carlos Hyde. They don't fully believe in Chris Carson, right? Whether it be injury, whether it be lack of talent. So when I look at a situation, I look at guys that are believed in by their coaches, guys that have optimal opportunity. Now, when you look at Jonathan Taylor, going back to the Taylor example, I look at Taylor and I look at the Colts, and I look at, well, they don't believe in Marlon Mack. If they did, they would have brought Taylor in. Now, I can see this being a committee for a while, maybe 6 weeks, but Jonathan Taylor will emerge here. He is the best running back on the team. He was an absolute workhorse in college. He's a must-have as part of a robust RB strategy. All of these guys are. And I want to make a disclaimer here. No running back, whether it be McCaffrey or Barkley or Zeke or Henry, is bulletproof from going down from injury. So you always have to protect yourself. Okay, guys? Another must-have here. I'll give you 2 more here. David Montgomery. Why do I love David Montgomery so much? It's very simple, guys. Last year, he had a crappy year because he had a crappy coach. The crappy coach is still there, but the crappy coach, Nagy, is now on a hot seat. He did not run David Montgomery to his full potential. I know because I own David Montgomery. I got him at his ADP last year, which was the 3rd round as part of a robust RB strategy. My team kind of looked like this. It looked like Zeke. Then I went with, who did I go in the 2nd round? Henry. Then I went Montgomery, or I went Jacobs, and I swapped it. I went David Johnson, who I got screwed on, and then I went Henry, I went Jacobs. Or I went Saquon, which I got screwed on a little bit. And at the end of the season, he pulled through in some of my leagues. Then I usually went Henry I got Henry in the 2nd round every league. He anchored all my teams last year. Then I went either Jacobs or Montgomery in the 3rd. So I watched a lot of the Bears games, so I was really pissed off. Now, even though he had a crappy year, David Montgomery had 242 attempts, 3.7 yards per carry, 6 touchdowns. So he had 242 attempts. Now, his attempts showed that they were going up a little bit in some games. Week 14, Dallas 20 attempts. Then he went down to 14 and 13 attempts week 15 and 16. Then back to 23 attempts in week 17, averaging 4.9 yards per carry in his campaign week 17, putting up 17 points. He had a lot of dud games, 6 points, 4 points, 5 points. So I can understand how ugly this looks. But you're getting this guy in the 4th to 5th round, typically in the 4th. And you're getting a coach that knows he needs to run him. Now, the problem was with Montgomery is that he knows he wasn't getting the holes that he wanted, right? He wasn't getting those holes. So they're going to create more holes for him, hopefully, so he can run through them. He's been working on his top end speed, so he wants those breakout runs. He is due for a breakout. Now, David Montgomery is saying his running game will be a lot better. He stated that. I've talked to a trainer that works with him that said that. So when you look at David Montgomery, you're looking at volume, you're looking at talent, you're looking at opportunity. Tarik Cohen is not a threat. And again, we talk about that gap. Whenever you draft a running back, make sure that the talent with him and the guy below him is far superior. Now, when you're looking at Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, you're getting pretty similar talent one way or another. That's why I'm staying away from Nick Chubb. So again, when I look at David Montgomery, he is a must-have. He's going to get the volume. He's going to get the talent. He's going to step it up. He's not going to be taken out on 3rd and 1 this year. Hopefully not, because Nagy was doing that, putting in Tarik Cohen, and he was running for negative yards. He wasn't converting first down because he wasn't smashing it through with David Montgomery. It was something really, really disgusting to watch, knowing you've got a power back, and he keeps coming off to bring in a little squirt in, Tarik Cohen. It was pretty disgusting. I really hated it. I hated every part of it. It disgusted me. But, we're looking for better things this year. I am beyond excited about David Montgomery, okay? Another must-have here, there's a couple guys, and there's sleepers. I'm going to do a full running back sleeper episodes. There's guys that I like. Joshua Kelly, who could be in for volume. There's a ton of sleepers. But one more running back must-have as a later round guy, round 9 and up, is Alexander Madison. Why? Going back to what I said earlier, I do not. Let me repeat this. I want to be very, very straight with you. I do not believe in Dalvin Cook. So at some point or other, Madison will get the start. And when he does, you'll thank me for putting him on your bench as your RB 4 to 5, okay? Typically an RB 5 in my teams. I love him. I love the upside. I got to have him. I got to have this guy as a guy that will start at some point in the season. I don't know when. Could be a potential holdout, maybe there. Maybe midseason, but when Dalvin Cook goes down, and he will, you can start Madison and thank me, okay? Either way, he's a bench stash, and he's going to get some work as a potential flex play eventually, okay? Another guy here I want to say a must-have, again, part of a robust RB strategy. The last guy here is Cam Akers. I think this guy is probably the biggest plug-and-play in regards to rookie running backs. Love the opportunity. He could be a workhorse running back there. I don't think they believe in Henderson. Again, we're talking about teams not believing in players. That's why they drafted Cam Akers. Cam Akers is a guy that could really boom on the Rams this year. He's a must-have. He's a must-have at round 5 for a guy who could potentially be the workhorse. Why not? Great value. Love the upside, okay? That's it, guys. Those are your running back must-haves, the guys that I like. If you want the full 16-round draft solution for every player to draft in each round, auto player sleepers, breakouts, full mock drafts, where I walk you through this, head on over to thefantasyfootballcounts.com. Get the 16-round draft solution, guys, and smash thumbs up and leave your fantasy questions below. I'll help you guys crush your leagues. Thank you for being here, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. Tim the Ball Guy is back every Thursday and Monday. Excited, and we do a Wednesday show with Tom Santinello with a Fire and Ice. Beyond excited. Subscribe, guys. I'll see you in the next video.